Hello out there, everybody. So today I'm going to continue to show the batch of painted recycled journals that I am currently working on. And this will be the third video, I think, that shows the progression, and I'm just really enjoying showing them together. Normally, I just make a video that shows a completed book by itself. I put some music on it, call it good. I don't have a plan of what I'm going to talk about. I'm just going to flip through these and show what's happened since the last video I made of them. And it's most exciting to me because I try to carry the same color palette across each page as I work. Some of them kind of get off sync from one another, but that's part of the fun too. And, you know, who knows what'll come up in conversation as we go through these, but I'll talk a little bit about logistics. Like, for example, I have all of these stencils between pages because that helps to provide space between, but I also like a little bit of air to come through as I work. So that's why they're stencils and not just acetate, which is also what I use to prevent sticking. But if I put acetate directly under the page I'm painting, it'll just glue itself to the acetate, and that's obnoxious. So I layer up with stencils, and then the page behind it I put something else so that as much as possible I prevent sticking around the edges to the previous pages. But it just happens, this is a messy business, and this video will also show the tearing of the painted pages apart as I unstick them. And this is where I left off last night, this kind of strange color palette. Yeah, and the whole idea here, I say this in every video, but this whole thing for me started kind of as a functional project, a coping mechanism during the pandemic, but also because I didn't have money at the time to buy new canvas and supports to paint my larger projects on. So I started painting over what I had. And at the time it was like a box of papers that needed to be shredded. And then my old journals that I was like, I don't need this writing anymore. It's interesting to go back and read through chapters of my life, but dear God. So painting over them has become also therapeutic, and just a great time. And I always do them in batches because I kind of work like a machine. And here we go. We're going to flip backwards. I try to paint several pages a day. The trick is dry time between layers. And it's impossible to get good quality colors and differentiation between colors if I don't wait for layers to dry. So I'm also hitting these with a blow dryer, hence keeping the stencils behind the pages, again, so air kind of hits both sides. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, ooh, stencil. And whoa. Okay. Oh, I see what happened. Yeah, sometimes I don't layer as much on each page, and I'll kind of flip through faster in one book as opposed to the others. So yeah, they're not always going to match up, but there we go. It's so satisfying for me when they do match up. Obviously, that's why I'm making a video. I'm so excited. And so, you know, circumstances have changed where I'm back to painting on large canvases. I'm getting commissions again. And the painted journals are just kind of a hobby for me. They just make me so happy. But also, what I typically do is once a book is finished, I make the video, as I mentioned, of the finished book. But then I will tear pages out, cut them up, and sell them in my Etsy shop as painted paper ephemera. And what I'm doing nowadays, I used to sell my papers in like themed batches. And now I'm not really making any more batches. I'm just sort of selling what's left of my inventory and only renewing my mystery packs. And frankly, I think the mystery packs are more exciting because you get a much more eclectic variety. Here we go. See what I did there? A much more eclectic variety of painted papers because they're coming from a variety of books, a variety of batches. And I'm just less interested in working so damn hard at this painted paper business because lots of issues. I'm not going to get into it. Check out my other videos and you'll hear my complaints. What happened here? Oh, there it is. Okay, so some of these have collage. This is vintage sheet music, not the original, but I've photographed it, printed them, painted on them, and then I'm using them in collage. So obviously I cut out this flapper dancer here, and this is like a 1929 piece of sheet music. I'm also collaging with my painted paper ephemera. Okay, this page fell out. That's happened a lot in this particular batch because all 4 of these journals are not high quality paper at all. And so even though I'm like allowing a lot of dry time between layers, as I load material onto the paper gets weak, paper tears. It's just a mess. And we're getting close to where I think my last video stops. Oh, there's another one that tore out. I was mending them and like using washi tape to repair, but I just gave up. It's like, whatever. I'm going to cut them out anyway, so. But yeah, if you are a painted paper shopper of mine, you can look for these in the next couple of weeks. I'll definitely make a video about it when the books are finished. More vintage sheet music collage. Color studies. We're just going to call these color studies. And the magical thing also about my painted journals is that I get to experiment and be quite reckless with my choices in a way that I wouldn't on larger canvas. I'm a little more precious with my big painting projects, you know, like, oh, I don't want to make the wrong choice. Whereas these, it's more just about getting through the book and covering the text and making it colorfully interesting, but not in a way that it's like anything to be too precious about, you know, just get the job done. And that's where I think these really interesting color combinations emerge. And then I can take that if I've just fallen in love with a certain look or combination of color, then I can, you know, pursue that at length or just collage it into something else. Here's some notes I kept. And yeah, typically I don't I don't let the text show, but in this case these are interesting notes to me about some writing reflexes in our nervous system that I wanted to keep. Here's where the last video starts. So oh dear, there we go. That's fun. Hot pink. And you can see I'm almost through the whole books. They're surprisingly, most of them are about the same length, so they're really kind of being worked at the same pace, except for, yeah, no, that's true. I started this one much later in the game. But what I like about this one is that I've finished the writing. This was a 2010 book, and I had finished writing in it, apparently. So the rest is blank pages, and that gives me more room to be much thinner in my painting layers and transparent with color. Whereas a lot of them I get like really chunky monkey, you know, to cover up the text. So I like it when I have this kind of fresh space, but it's still recycled paper. It's not new. And my plan for these blank pages is to do washes of like chromatic scales. Like I love rainbows. I love monochromatic. So I'm going to play a lot with color in that way of doing like deeply saturated to really light. You know what I mean? So I will leave these on that page where we started. I hope you had fun. I had fun. I'll be back with more books. Someday these will all get finished. Cheerio.